basically, I was in a situation about 3 years ago where I was stuck in negative thinking patterns and I wasn't proud of where I was in life. Everything was fine. I had my job and I had my kids, but there was always something missing. It felt like I wasn't good enough. Anything that I did was not good enough. And what I did at work, like I was always pushing myself to do even better. And then I still felt crummy at the end of the day. So I actually discovered an online coach. I don't even know how. It was through Facebook and through things she was writing and things that she was posting. And I actually jumped into one of her free things that she was offering, and I found out a little bit more about the whole coaching world. I don't come from like a spiritual background or anything where I already knew what coaching was. It was just something that I kind of fell into. And basically, what I learned is that a lot of the way that I was living my life was based on outer attachments. So, external attachments to like things, money, my job, all of those things were representing my self worth, right? And so it was no surprise why I didn't feel good about myself or I didn't feel good about where I was in life because I was always making it be about everything else and everybody else instead of how I felt inside, right? So at that time, I was also going through a really tough relationship. The relationship had turned toxic, like a romantic relationship. It had turned toxic, it had turned abusive, like verbally and emotionally abusive. And I was just not happy. I wasn't happy at my job anymore. I wasn't happy in my relationship. And I was just overworking myself and I felt like I was never doing enough. I felt like I was never good enough. So if you relate to that, hit like and maybe comment and tell me how you relate to that. Okay? So afterwards, after meeting this coach online, like I said, I signed up for one of her free things, and that totally helped me understand why unhealthy attachments to other people keep us feeling horrible, and why all of the choices that I had made up to this point were really based on external attachments. So I really believe that my self-worth was dependent on what other people thought of me, like my boss or my coworkers or my customers. I was always just believing that I was good enough if they thought I was good enough. And yes, that stems from a lot of childhood trauma. It stems from a lot of things that we learn as children. Actually, since we're 7 years old, our brains are begin to believe anything that we experience, and we believe that to be true. So, for example, if in our household we believe that money is scarce, we believe that money doesn't come easy, or that it doesn't grow on trees, or we're told that we can't buy something, right? We end up growing up with this scarcity mindset. And that's just an example. That's just one example of how we learn to be a certain way since the young age of 7. And of course, we are exposed to different things during our lives, and we learn to believe that that's the way that things are. And we learn to believe that we're only worth of receiving what we've received so far. So if we have been living in a relationship that's toxic or abusive since childhood, we believe that all of our relationships that we will ever deserve are supposed to be toxic and abusive. And that's not true at all. All of you deserve more. Every single person deserves love, deserves respect, and you deserve to feel free and not chained to somebody and not being able to go out and do whatever the heck it is that you wish to do. Okay, so let me explain a little bit about how online coaching worked for me and how it helped me. So I found this coach. She was a spiritual life coach, and she was teaching all about body image and self-love, and how our body image doesn't excuse me, our body image doesn't define who we are. So if people have told us that we are not pretty enough or not good enough, or the color of our skin or our body type or the way our face looks, like I had a lot of issues about the way my face looks, my nose, and I was just always ridiculed and bullied as a child as when I was a teenager, as I was growing up. So I was a like hang out with the boys type girl. I didn't have very many girlfriends, and I just experienced a lot of bullying by other girls as I was growing up. So when I found my coach online, she actually had this program, this group coaching program where it was with other women. We all came on once a week on the internet. I didn't have to leave anywhere. I didn't have to put on clothes. Well, I didn't have to get dressed up, was what I mean. I didn't have to get dressed up or do my hair, do my makeup to go be somewhere. I just all I had to do was turn on my computer or even call on the phone if I wanted to. And she took us through this whole journey of learning how to love our bodies. And so from there, this was about 3 years ago, I've experienced so much personal growth. I was able to leave the job, leave the relationship, leave the friends that were no longer empowering me, leave all of the negative situations that were no longer serving me. And that was all thanks to that program, to that group coaching program. I went back to school. I learned how to empower others as well. So I learned how to talk to people to create change. I received a lot of training on being a transformational life coach, so creating transformation in people. And I became a guided imagery facilitator, which is helpful for those who want to visualize their future and they want to feel better now in the present. And I also became a licensed body positive facilitator. So I went back to that whole body positive work because it was just transformational for me. It was so amazing how empowered I left after receiving that coaching, that I actually went out and got the training myself to be able to help other people. So the transformations and the changes that I was able to make in my own life from having hired my online coach was so worth the expense and so worth the investment. I strongly believe that if we don't invest in ourselves, it's very it's very likely that we're going to stay in the same spot that we are. So if we don't go out and meet the people or get the coach or even go back to school or do the studying that we want to do, how are we going to create the change that we're looking for? Right? It takes a step. It takes a step in the right direction. It takes us to do something different in our lives that we haven't done up to this point. And that was true for me. And the reason why I wanted to come on here was to tell you and let you know how easily accessible it can be for you to do that investment in yourself online without having to really go anywhere, or like I was saying, putting on makeup, or sometimes we don't have the energy, especially when we're going through a difficult life change. We can experience depression, we can experience anxiety, a lack of energy. And so for me, it was really hard to even get out the door. It was really hard to want to go meet new people. So the online coaching was really, really beneficial. And so I'm drinking my lemon ginger tea. It's so good. So one of the ways that I believe, and I want to share with you how that can be accessible for you too. I first want to get to know you a little bit more. I believe in like knowing and trusting who it is you're engaging in. So I'd love to see some engagement. I'd love to invite you to my free Facebook group. It's actually a community of people, over 200 people who are just like you, going through a life change or going through something difficult in their lives and they need some support. So you're invited to join the free community. And it's basically facebook.com/groups/imperfectly vibrant. And then from there, I can get to know you a little better. But if you have already been getting to know me, you know who I am and what I offer. I want to let you know that it can be so transformational for you to take a leap.